Imagine walking down the street and seeing something so heartbreaking that it stops you in your tracks. A tiny puppy, just skin and bones, lying in a ditch, barely breathing. He's not crying. He's too weak for that. He doesn't move. His eyes are open, but there's no life in them, just emptiness. Now imagine realizing that this puppy has been lying there for hours, alone, scared, starving. 9 months old, but he weighs just 15 pounds. That's not even close to what a healthy puppy should weigh. And the worst part, someone left him there. Someone saw him like this and walked away. What kind of person does that? How do you look at a living, breathing, suffering creature and decide they don't matter? Thankfully, not everyone thinks like that. A group from a local animal rescue found him just in time. They scooped him up and rushed him to an animal hospital. And honestly, he probably wouldn't have made it another day. When the vets checked him out, they saw just how bad things were. He was starving. His little body had used up everything it had just to keep him alive. If they had found him even a few hours later, this story could have had a very different ending. 3 days later, a woman named Kim walked into the hospital and saw him. She wasn't just there to visit. She was going to take him home, foster him, give him a second chance. But let's be real. At that point, he was still just barely holding on. He didn't wag his tail. He didn't even react when she picked him up. It was like he had already given up. And can you blame him? After everything he'd been through, how was he supposed to believe that things were finally going to get better? Kim wasn't about to give up on him, though. She took him home and did everything she could to help him get stronger. At first, even standing up was a struggle. He had to be carried most of the time. But she was patient. She gave him food, warmth, and love, things he probably hadn't had in a long time. Little by little, he started to change. At first, it was just small things, a little movement in his tail when he saw her, a tiny bit of excitement when she brought him food. By the end of the first week, he could take a few steps on his own, wobbly, shaky, but steps nonetheless. Kim had another dog at home, a big Rottweiler, and somehow this tiny, weak puppy started trying to play with him. He wasn't strong enough at first, but the energy was there. He wanted to move. He wanted to have fun, and that was huge. By the third week, he was walking down the street like a real dog, not struggling, not falling behind, just walking next to the Rottweiler, like he belonged there. That was the moment Kim knew he was going to be okay. Over the next month, he kept getting stronger. His fur, which had been dull and patchy, started to shine. His eyes had life in them again. He wasn't just surviving anymore. He was living. He had a personality. He was playful, goofy, loving. He trusted people again. And then came the best part, finding his forever home. Kim worked at a tattoo shop, and one day one of her clients, Megan, came in. Megan had 2 dogs already, but when she saw this puppy, she was done. That was it. Love at first sight. She took him home, and he fit right in. It was like he was meant to be there. What's crazy is that, after everything he'd been through, he still just wanted to love and be loved. He had every reason to be scared of people, to never trust anyone again. But he didn't. He gave his whole heart to his new family, just like he had with Kim. And Megan, she couldn't believe how much he had changed. If you had shown her a picture of him on the day he was found, she wouldn't have believed it was the same dog. This little puppy went from lying in a ditch, minutes from death, to running around in a backyard, playing with his new brothers, getting belly rubs, and sleeping in a warm, cozy bed. This is what love does. This is what kindness does. And this is why it matters. Because for every story like this, there are so many others that don't have a happy ending, so many animals that don't get found in time, so many that don't get that second chance. But here's the thing, you can make a difference. If you ever see an animal in need, don't just walk away. Don't assume someone else will handle it. Be the person who stops, who calls for help, who does something. Because sometimes just one person choosing to care is the difference between life and death. And if you're in a place where you can adopt, foster, or support a rescue, do it. There's a dog, a cat, an animal out there right now who needs you. Let's be the reason more stories end with love. Let's make sure more abandoned animals get to have the life they deserve. Because every single one of them is worth saving.